Hi there, and welcome to Aniplot Recaps. We will continue the series, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, from where we stop. Watch out and take care. Stepping in to defend Diablo, Rem tries to reason with Sadler only for the paladin to incapacitate her with a magical spell. Diablo, however, manages to dispel the magic used on Rem. After a brief argument between Diablo and Sadler, the paladin casts Cement Lock on the demon lord only for it to be reflected on him. As Sadler's subordinates then carry away their petrified leader, Alicia asks why Diablo didn't finish Sadler off, to which he answers small fries pose no threat. However, if he were to challenge him again, he will deal with him accordingly. Alicia smiles and understands Diablo's sentiments, but Diablo is wary of Alicia. As dusk starts to settle, the group prepares to head to the Starfall Tower to meet with Edelgard and perform the summoning ritual. On top of the Starfall Tower, Diablo's group meets with Edelgard to perform the ritual to revive Krebskulum. How Krebskulum will be revived is by laying her on top of a stone table, as magic power will be filled into Krebskulum's soul. Not hesitant about any risks that may occur in the ritual process, Rem calmly states that she's ready to start the ritual. Wasting no time, Diablo starts to pour his magical power into Rem from her belly button, but this attempt fails to reach Krebskulum. Therefore, Edelgard suggests that Diablo do it via Rem's crotch, and this time Diablo manages to reach Krebskulum's seal and break it, sequentially releasing the demon lord. As the smoke starts to dissipate from the area, Krebskulum ostentatiously appears and introduces herself. Diablo in character also introduces himself and proclaims his will to fight and defeat Krebskulum. Amused by the proclamation, Krebskulum powers up and threatens to dispose of Diablo, only to become perplexed on how to do so in a demon lord manner. Alluding that Krebskulum has amnesia and taking into account her adolescent demeanor, Rem and Shara manage to convince Krebskulum to kill mortals no more. Astounded by this turn of events, Alicia tries to reason with Krebskulum to denounce her agreement to never kill mortals any longer and for Edelgard to back her up. However, Krebskulum still refuses due to it not being able to fill her stomach, and Edelgard is obsequious to Krebskulum's whims. Now hungry, Shara gives Krebskulum the biscuits she had on her and Krebskulum instantly becomes addicted to them. Krebskulum then claims she remembers her destiny, which is to devour all of the world's biscuits. Afterward, the group heads back to the city, while Diablo carries the languid Rem. From above, the fallen Eulerix appears before the group and introduces himself as one who has served the demon lords for generations. He offers to sacrifice Diablo and company as a celebratory means for an auspicious occasion. However, Krebskulum refuses Eulerix in doing that, as she wouldn't be able to eat any biscuits because of it. Perplexed and upset that the newly revived demon lord refuses to follow through with her mission to dispose of all mortals, Eulerix tries to attack what he calls the incomplete Krebskulum. However, Edelgard stops him, leading to a fight between the two. Diablo intervenes to rescue Edelgard before she's killed. Diablo then faces off against Eulerix, casting spells like Flare Burst and Supermine against Eulerix, but both attacks do not damage the fallen. Eulerix then casts Quartz Lance, but Diablo reflects the spell onto Eulerix. Shocked that Diablo has the same ability as the demon lord of mind in Pharos, Eulerix uses his sonic speed to try and kill Krebskulum once again, only to be hit with Diablo's lightning bullet. Unable to beat Diablo and comprehend his proclamation of being the true demon lord, Eulerix transforms into an owl and flees the scene. Once again, Alicia questions whether or not allowing his opponent to escape was a wise decision. However, Diablo again brushes it off. In truth, he wanted to avoid creating a dangerous predicament for the group and suggests they move onward back to the city. Edelgard, kneeling before Krebskulum, states that she is unable to enter the city and shall stay in the forest. To avoid Krebskulum's identity from being exposed, Shara suggests that her name be changed from Krebskulum to Clem. Back in their room at the Peace of Mind Inn, Clem and Shara both get in bed with Diablo in an attempt to help him recover his lost MP. Meanwhile, in Alicia's room, she reflects on her life, on her harsh and horrible upbringing, along with her orders from His Majesty of the Kingdom of Liferia. Alicia then calmly states her resolve to follow the Demon Lord's creed to eliminate the mortal races. Elsewhere, Sadler is shown to be free from his petrification. Walking through Falter City, Shara and Clem sing the Biscuit Song together and have Rem join in their song as well. Alicia, quietly with a scornful look on her face, listens as they sing the song together. Later at a cafe, Diablo meets with Celeste, and the two talk about Clem, who sits with Rem, Shara, and Alicia at another table. Celeste states that she's happy that Clem is as innocent as she is, but will keep an eye on her regardless. After this, Diablo and Shara talk about how understanding Celeste was toward Clem, but then realize that she, Rem, and Alicia have separated from them. The two find out that they're not in their room at the Peace of Mind Inn, therefore Diablo has Shara wait there until he finds them. Meanwhile, down a dark and narrow alley, Alicia holds Clem by her wrist and Rem states her curiosity as to where Alicia is leading them to. Alicia reveals her true nature and intentions to have Clem regain her memories for her to become the Demon Lord Krebskulum. It's also revealed that Alicia was the one who convinced Gallic to sacrifice himself to summon Gregor into the city. The group is then confronted by Sadler and his subordinates, and Alicia puts on an act that implicates Rem and Clem as Demon Lord worshippers. In retaliation, Rem summons SHOUJO, but Sadler's subordinates restrain him and Sadler finishes SHOUJO off. Rem then tries and attacks Sadler. However, he uses his magic to restrain her. As Rem fades out of consciousness, Alicia whispers into her ear that she needs hatred. Elsewhere, Diablo continues his search for Rem, Clem, and Alicia and believes the paladin to be the one responsible for all of them going missing. Eventually, Rem awakens in an iron cage along with Clem that is loaded onto a wagon heading for an unknown location. Clem and Rem then have a heart-to-heart with each other about how Rem and her mother suffered because of Clem's existence. Also, they talk about Rem's ambivalent feelings toward Clem. Soon, the wagon stops nearby a church where Sadler will save Rem and Clem. Inside the church is an assortment of torture weapons, and Rem openly proclaims her refusal to admit that she's a Demon Lord worshipper. Contrary to that statement, Sadler still believes Rem is a Demon Lord worshipper. With Rem restrained, Sadler announces his intentions to purify Rem by slicing off her ears and tail. Rem then tries to plead for help from Alicia. However, she refuses and leaves Sadler to do his business. That night at the Adventurers Guild, Diablo tries to enlist the help of the guild members, but when he does, he acts out of character, which puts him in a predicament. It was the sudden appearance of a young beastman boy that notifies them all of an unnamed Pantherian and a young girl being taken hostage by a paladin. Demanding to know where the boy saw them last, he tells Diablo it was at a church. Diablo then thanks the boy and rushes off to the church. Emile and Sylvie brush it off. As Diablo heads to Rem and Clem's location, a swarm of fallen surrounds the city, and Galford orders his men to notify Celeste to strengthen the barrier around the town. Celeste in question concentrates all of her power on the city's barrier. Back at the church, Sadler readies himself to purify Rem but is attacked by Clem, whose identity as a fallen is revealed. Drawing his swords at Clem, he tries to attack her, but Rem protects Clem by embracing her and taking the sword blow at her back. Just as Clem promises to deal with Sadler and his subordinates, Sadler stabs several swords into Rem's back. This causes Clem to expel a surge of energy from her body, and Rem then realizes what Alicia meant when she told her that she needs hatred. Now that Clem was fully awakened as Krebskulum, she first eviscerates Sadler. The attack also destroys the church they were in, and the excess energy tries to penetrate the barrier. Diablo finally arrives at the scene and is then joined by Shara, who managed to locate Rem's whereabouts with the help of her turkey shot. Believing that Rem is in trouble, Diablo hands Shara some healing potions to Shara for her to use on Rem as he goes to face off against Krebskulum. Outside of Falter City, Edelgard and Eulerix along with a massive army of fallen relish the fact that Krebskulum is finally fully resurrected. The two are soon joined by Alicia, who is revealed to be the mastermind behind the entire plot to fully resurrect Krebskulum. As Galford cogitates over the situation at hand, Sylvie visits him and assures him that the problem north of the city will be dealt with and he should focus his energy on the threat to the west. As Diablo faces off against Krebskulum, and Shara uses the healing potions given to her by Diablo to treat Rem's injuries. For the time being, Diablo manages to dodge Krebskulum's attacks while laying down trap spells. When Krebskulum uses Darkness Breath, Diablo counters it with Volcanic Wall. On Shara's side, she uses the last of the healing potions on Rem, hoping that she'll recover. Thankfully, Rem regains consciousness and informs Shara of Alicia's betrayal. Returning to Diablo's battle against Krebskulum, he struggles to fight against her as she now tosses stone coffins at Diablo, who is in a pinch of giving away all of his healing potions to Shara. Right when a coffin was about to hit Rem and Shara, Emile appears before them and takes the hit. Finally able to set 13 spots to cast his grand magic, Diablo casts Apocalypse Abyss. Although effective against Krebskulum, it was not enough to destroy her. Outside of the city, Edelgard and Alicia were about to face ridicule from Eulerix for another failed attempt at resurrecting the Demon Lord. However, Edelgard manages to distract the fallen army behind him, allowing Alicia to escape. Eventually, Sylvie meets up with Diablo, and the group thanks them for their efforts in stopping Krebskulum, but deduces that Clem is Krebskulum. Despite the protests from Rem and Shara, Sylvie details that Clem may have summoned the army of fallen outside of the city, therefore precautions must be taken. Hence Diablo suggests that Clem become his slave and she agrees to it. Thereafter Diablo follows the enslavement ritual and Clem becomes Diablo's slave. Afterward, Sylvie reports the results of the recent events to Galford, who was already aware of most of it due to his information network. That night in Diablo's room at the Peace of Mind Inn, the group gets ready to retire for the night until Alicia appears and takes Shara hostage with a knife. Clem threatens Alicia to release or else she'll kill her. Alicia promises to allow Clem to do whatever she wants to her so long as Clem helps her with something. That something was to heal the heavily wounded Edelgard, and because she's a fallen, only Clem would be able to do it. Alicia also details where and how Edelgard received her injuries and confirms to Diablo that she was in cahoots with Edelgard all along. Following Diablo's request, Clem heals Edelgard, who prostrates herself to Clem for her merciful act. After Clem briefs Edelgard on why and how she's back to her old self, she orders Edelgard to stop killing mortals as a show of loyalty towards her. To that order, Edelgard agrees to obey Clem's command. Once that's all settled, Alicia resolves to face whatever consequence Diablo and her group will do to her. Instead, Rem first asks Alicia what made her side with the Fallen, and in response to that, Alicia blames her upbringing on being surrounded by shallow nobles and Imperials. Listening to Alicia's story, Diablo relates to it from his own experiences when he was back in his world. Again, Alicia asks Clem if she doesn't despise the mortal races, to which she annoyingly agrees that she doesn't. Hence, Alicia tries to stab herself in the neck, but her knife is dissolved by Diablo's magic. He then gives an eloquent speech about how Alicia should find a new purpose to live for, which brings her to tears. Becoming flaccid over his lack of MP, all of the women, now also including Alicia and Edelgard, volunteer to help Diablo recover his lost MP, much to his dismay. The following day, Diablo, Rem, and Shara see Alicia off, and later the girls get into an argument over what food they'll eat for dinner. They soon choose to settle the argument by having Diablo kiss the one whose side he's on. However, he refuses to choose either choice as he's Demon Lord Diablo. Thank you for sticking with us throughout. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. Remember to leave your thoughts in the comments box below. See you and take care.